What's up, people? Welcome to the 4th of July weekend market update video. This is my second take on making this video because the first one turned out really bad. Um, so let me start off by sharing my screen with you. Here we go. Am I sharing the correct screen? Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Let's start off here on the SPY weekly chart. As you can see, we have a strong green body candle, small lower wick. And what does that indicate? Obviously, it indicates that the market is very strong. We're breaking new all-time highs every day. Everybody knows that. Nothing new to say. Um, as a potential target high, I kind of have 635. And my reason for that is the range that we broke from, right? You kind of will often, when you break a range like this, you will often double that range. So that's my potential target, but it really means absolutely nothing and is worthless. So I just shared it with you for the heck of it. Um, you know, marking key levels on all-time highs can be a difficult thing to do. Uh, You can do it by percentages. You can do it by measuring ranges like that was. You can do it by average moves. You can do it by using the indicator pivot points standard is something I do from here and there to get some targets that are mathematically calculated and somewhat logical as I am trading intraday day trading. But that's what we see on the weekly chart. Let's look over here at the monthly chart. Do you remember back in April? And if you were following me at the time on Facebook, and I believe I even had some videos on YouTube at the time that said I believed this 480 mark was going to be the perfect spot for a higher low. And that's because we had this previous all-time high here, and it made perfect sense for that to be a location for a higher low on a monthly chart. And I did buy into NVIDIA. I bought into Tesla at the time, and I did really, really, really well on those trades. My only regret is I wish I would have bought more at the time. Um, let's cruise on over here to the daily chart on SPY. Zoom in a little better so it's not so terrible looking. All right, we are in a lockout rally up. There's no doubt about it. There's been no good pullbacks to enter on. It's just a straight up, full blown, fast moving lockout rally to the upside. Something that I will be looking for possibly this week, maybe further out, um, would be a pullback. First location I'd be looking for a pullback to is, of course, the previous all-time high, 613.25. If we pull back to that level, get some type of reversal pattern, whether that's an inverse head and shoulders, whether that's a double bottom, whether that's a look below and fail, whatever it is, if we get a reversal pattern there, I am looking to go long back on up to all-time highs. I would take that trade 10 out of 10 times. If we pull back further, say to the top of the ceasefire gap, still, I am looking for a reversal pattern there to go back long. Um, even if we filled the ceasefire gap, I would take that as with a reversal pattern back long, I would take that as a good trade to be going back long on. If we get below this ceasefire gap, then I would become more neutral on the market. I would be more concerned about what comes next if that were to happen. So below that ceasefire gap, I have more of a neutral outlook on the market. If we don't close the ceasefire gap and we move back up, extremely bullish data points to carry forward with us. So what charts can we look to help gauge that a pullback might be coming? The first chart that I would take a look at is the dollar, DXY. You could see it's in a downtrend as the market is in an uptrend. That's because it runs inverse to the market. I did have an alert set here at 96.99. We did break above that, which was a sign that we could be pulling back on the market. So if we continue up and stay within the bounds of these downtrend lines, move back up towards the top, that would be a big data point for me that the market could be pulling back or about to pull back. Another chart I would look to is XLK, which is the tech sector. We have tons of gaps below us on the XLK chart. If we start to fill these gaps, I would be looking for a pullback in the broad market, looking for a pullback on NQ, on QQQ, SPY, yes. All right. So these are charts maybe you want to set some alerts on to help gauge data points for potential pullbacks to previous all-time highs or gaps on SPY. Let's cruise on over to the QQQ chart if I can find it. If it loads, I just have a white screen. Here we go. QQQ, let's cruise over to weekly chart. On the weekly chart of QQQ, we have a long lower wick, strong upper body green candle. Tells us market is strong, momentum is strong, bull market is strong. Who doesn't know that? That's not genius information right there. All right. Cruise over to the daily chart. On the daily chart, some things I could see potentially happening. I already have them arrowed out from my previous video. We could pull back, fill this small gap below us from Thursday. And if we come back down, get a reversal pattern around 540.75, great spot to go back long up to all-time highs of currently 557.20. We could move higher. Let's say we pull back even further and we fill this ceasefire gap. Great spot to continue back long. Again, much like on the QQQ, if we pull back further than that, further than 532.19, I become concerned and pull a more neutral stance on the market. I would not be prepared to call it bearish at all, but I would move towards more neutral. As this is down here, what is trading? It's 90% watching, 10% execution. And just like with SPY on QQQ, what do we want to pay attention to, especially with QQQ? Well, we want to pay attention to XLK. Is XLK starting to fill these gaps? If so, we're probably moving down for a pullback with QQQ. We're no doubt due for a pullback. So having one would be completely healthy, and I would much prefer it than to staying in this lockout status, because lockout's harder to trade than a nice clean pullback to previous all-time highs, where we have great setup to go back long. Let's take a pop over here. NVIDIA. NVIDIA's got a higher high. It's got a higher low, soft higher low here. Something I would like to see on NVIDIA is a pullback to the 149 area, reversal pattern to go back long to previous all-time highs. So that's really the theme of what we're looking for in many stocks, in QQQ and SPY. We want to see pullbacks to previous all-time highs with a setup for us to go back long so we can get into this momentum and make a great long trade for some beautiful profit. Microsoft. Again, Microsoft has been hard to trade intraday. You can see many of these candles got crazy wicks on them. The movement's like slow intraday. However, it's moving straight up. Do you remember earnings way back here in April when we just had this massive gap up and moved straight up and haven't stopped since? Just unbelievable. One of these days, Microsoft is going to pull back down to the previous all-time high of 468. When that does happen, let's look for some signs to go back long and take part in those trades. Meta was much like Microsoft. Remember they had earnings on the same day, both had massive gaps up. Meta did not push up as strong, and we did just sweep the previous all-time highs and then broke right back down. So it's not as great as it's set up, not as great momentum as Microsoft, but it is strong and it is screaming nonetheless. So I would love to see a pullback here to 704.10 and get a setup to go back long on Meta. Google has been a straggler. It's lagged many of these other overperforming stocks in the S&P, in the QQQ. What I would be looking for in Google is if we can get a higher low above 182.60, then I would be looking to catch along up to 188.8. Those are the stocks I'm going to cover for this weekend update. What kind of major things do we have coming ahead? July 9th is the tariff deadline for the 90-day pause. Maybe we get some news out of that could cause some type of pullback. It's a big thing coming up. Not sure. Can't remember off the top of my head exactly what other financial events there are on the calendar. So let's just take a quick look at those. It's moving kind of slow here, so just got to be patient. All right. Is there anything important going on next week? Unemployment Thursday. 30-year bond auction Thursday. 10-year bond auction Wednesday. Nothing else real massive. The week after, looks like Tuesday will be CPI, PPI Wednesday, core retail sales Thursday. So a lot of important stuff coming up the week after that. That would be potential market movers ahead after next week. So I hope y'all had a wonderful 4th of July. It's been an awesome weekend. It's been an awesome week of trading. Stay smart. 90% watching, 10% execution. Hope y'all have a lovely weekend. See ya.